Welcome to the Man Cave Podcast with Dan Casper.
Let's do some. So this week we've kind of done little predictions here and there when it comes to the Brewers and that, but I'm going to call it a tradition now because you did a fantastic job coming up with these questions last year, and you know we get to revisit it at the end of the season and see how we did in that. And they're a little bit more of a deep dive into this. Into just a kind of a typical prediction and such. So should we jump right? Before we get into it, I did ask Dr. Crow about Damian Lillard.
There we go, yeah.
So this is a very short version of Inside the Trading Room, Triple Valley Orthopedic Sports Medicine. Because I wanted to, obviously, with the blood clot in his calf, Dr. Crow says, same issue that Victor Wembanyama had, except Victor's was upper extremity, which is more rare. Lower extremity, deep venous thrombosis, blah, 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 I can't ever say that, are relatively common, but usually associated with acute injuries, prolonged immobilization, or risk factors such as genetic conditions or factor V or protein C and S deficiency. In this case, that said, Dame isn't at a higher risk for more clots, so they must think it's idiopathic, meaning we don't know why it occurred. That being said, he will certainly miss time while he is on blood thinner. Generally, they will need 3 to 6 months of blood thinners. So that's interesting to say that 3 to 6 months, because I know there was one report that they're optimistic that he could come back at the end of the season and all that. And I'm like, I don't feel like you should put a timeline on something like that. So big thanks to Austin for sending that over too. So, all right. We got to come up with a name with this if we do this every year. Deep Brewers Predictions, dive Brewers Predictions by Brandon, or come up with by Brandon.
You're in there too, so.
All right. Okay, let's do this. I'll let you. You got the list, so you. I do. Ask him.
Yeah, there's just a list of things, and there's also some prop things that I remember we did last year that I don't really have too many off the top of my head. I got one, which is one we did last year, but maybe we'll figure it out as we go along. So,
okay.
First things first, I guess. Just what's the record this year?
I went 87 wins. So 87 and 75. 87 and 75, that's 162. Yeah, 87
that maths?
Yeah. Me and math, though. I got to make it easy for me.
I'm with you. And actually, I'm pretty much in the same. I said 88 wins.
Okay, so you're a little bit more bullish on them, apparently.
I am much more optimistic than you. Why do you hate this team?
Hey, you're not as bullish as G-Man, who had over 100 wins.
There we go. That's what I like to hear.
All right, so pretty much the same. What else do we got?
Next up, we've got and this is kind of subjective, but who's going to be the top pitcher?
So, like the Team Cy Young?
Pretty much, yeah.
So, and this doesn't have to be a starter. We're not talking about most wins.
No, just at the end of the year,
I went with Trevor McGill. Just because I think, we got to see a really good sample size of him last year. So I went with him. A close second was like Hudson. And then if Tobias started off healthy, I might have put Tobias Myers up there. But I'm going to go Trevor McGill.
Gotcha. I went very safe on this one. I just said Freddie Peralta. At this point, I just think he's going to create a certain baseline of just being good. Mm-hmm. I know sometimes, it frustrates people that maybe he's not a little bit more than good, but still, I think that's still going to be incredibly valuable.
By the way, really quick, Dr. Crow was listening to me try to pronounce some of those words, and he says we need to work on that.
Yeah,
so
that's not a surprise.
I apologize, Austin. I don't know, whatever, thrombosis. Let's just say DVT. I see. That's why I need to Google that and just where it does like the sound.
You should. You need your.
Is it venomous? Venomous.
Like a snake.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, had to shout out Dr. Crow.
There we go. Thank you, Doctor.
All right. What else do we got?
I guess most valuable hitter, top hitter, however you want to put that.
Hitter, I'll go Contreras.
That's the direction I went to. And this one, actually, I think there are more viable options because there's a world where Jackson Chourio takes a step forward. There's a world where Christian Yelich, if he stays healthy, is able to do a lot of what he did last year.
There's a part of me too that almost wonders if we didn't see Jackson's 5 strikeouts yesterday, if I would have changed mine. But I think Contreras is the safest one.
Yeah, he's just as long as he's healthy. He's just going to be steady, I feel like. And he's going to be out there a lot, too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, what else?
All right, breakout player.
Oh, breakout player. I went with Sal Frelick. Because I think it's between these three: Frelick, Mitchell, and Ortiz. And I'm gonna go with Frelick. Buffed up to 25, 30 more pounds of muscle in that. But you even look at what he did last year, Brandon. I think it kind of went under the radar a little bit from his offense. I mean, he hit like 260. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have a ton of power, but he gets on base. And, yesterday we see the little bloopers, but it's like you said, they don't count that. It doesn't matter how you got there. A stat line says a stat line. He got 2 hits yesterday.
Right.
So I went with Frelick.
Gotcha. And this is one I've went around on because there's someone on this team I'm very high on. But I don't know if I think if I say he's going to have a good year, if it necessarily classifies as a breakout. Because he had a pretty good year last year. And, some numbers are more kind to him than others. But assuming that this is allowed, so I might do this and then another one just in case. But that guy, I'm thinking of is Joey Ortiz.
Okay.
I think and this will also play into something else later on. Because last year at third base, he was a 3-win player. Mm-hmm. So, and a lot of that was his defense. His defense was really good. His offense was, slightly above average. We know he got off to a good start, had the neck injury. It kind of took him a while to get back into that. But my thinking is like if he's able to just kind of stay healthy, like I think his offensive game could play very well at short. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be Willie Adames. No one's going to ask him to be. But is he a guy that, last year he had 11 home runs? Could he hit 15 to 20? I think so. Could he hit 11 steals? Could he get a little bit more than that? Sure. He had 239 last year. Could that be bumped up to 260? I think so. Like he's someone that I just think. I guess it depends on how when you say breakout, it depends on I guess what level of breakout. Mm-hmm. So and I'll throw the other guy I had in there too. If we're going a little bit more off the grid, a lot of this is one where last year I picked Brian Hudson. That one worked. 2 years ago, I picked.
That nice humble brag. That one worked.
Well, 2 years ago, I picked Peter Strzelecki. That didn't work. So, but if we're going a little bit more off the grid, someone I'm going to go with is a guy that made the team in spring training. Guy that we will probably see here sooner than later is Elvin Rodriguez, right-handed pitcher. He's someone that's got some very interesting stuff. We don't know if it's going to be as at full strength. Probably not as a starter, even though he has starter experience. But could he be that guy that in June we're saying, oh, yeah, this guy kind of came out of nowhere, as a reliever, because it seems like the Brewers always find those guys. Mm-hmm. I'll just say, that would be my other one if we're going, again, a little bit more off the grid. I will say Elvin Rodriguez for a breakout player.
All
right. Disappointing player.
So this was last year where I said I went with a pick where I thought Brewers fans were going to say he's disappointing because the bar was too high, and that's why I went Jackson Cheerio.
Right.
But that was wrong. Because,
good.
Yeah, it was good. So I am going to go. With. This might be a little bit of a cop-out. I'm going to go Aaron Savali. I just, offensive. Part of me wanted to go Reese Hoskins, but I feel like we're going to get a little bit more home runs from him. Then I'm looking across the board on the offense. I feel like Christian Yelich is going to be okay. I don't want to put Garrett Mitchell as most disappointing yet. Yeah. So then it kind of goes to the pitching aspect of it all. Freddie, we know what to expect from Freddie, I think, at this point. I'm going to go Aaron Savali.
Well, you're kind of thinking along the same lines I am. I didn't go Savali, though. And this is when I made this is one I thought of a few weeks ago, and that's Tobias Myers. Mm. And it's mostly because I just want to see it again.
Yeah.
Because with Tobias Myers, we know he kind of came out of nowhere. It was a bit of a floater, bouncing around to a couple different organizations. Plus, the stuff, it's not like he's throwing upper 90s. Like, he gets by on kind of control and command and deception. And it's just like, it's not so much like I think he's a bum.
Right.
It's just that, like, I just need to see it from him again.
Right.
And so it's kind of like a.
Because he set the bar incredibly high.
He did. And he doesn't need to put together another 3 ERA season for me to say he's, it wasn't a disappointment. He could still be, 3.5 to 4.
Probably the best pitcher from June on.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Last year. Yes. Mm-hmm. But I just need to, from him, I need to see it again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that's fair.
And that's kind of how I would frame that.
Mm-hmm.
Bold prediction.
I predicted that Jackson Cheerio would be a starter in the All-Star game. Does that qualify as a bold prediction?
I think so.
Right.
I think so. My bold prediction is I think Joey Ortiz is at least a 4-win shortstop and a borderline all-star.
So for those 1 or 4 wins, the WAR.
Yeah,
right?
wins above replacement depends. I mean, different places, but basically, a league average person is like 0 WAR. And then the higher you go, the more it is. And I'm gonna say 4. I mean, that's because I said last year he was about 3. Playing shortstop. The value. I think he's gonna bring good defense there, and I think his offense, if it can take a step forward to being solidly at least above average, that's a very valuable package. So, and I'm gonna say that he does that.
What was the second part of that one too?
That he's a borderline all-star.
Okay.
Shortstop's one of those positions that's tough to crack for the all-star game once beyond the knowns.
I was going to say you got to be name
the Francisco Lindors of the world.
Yeah.
But I'm saying he could be someone that we get to July and you see the stories about the under the radar all-star candidates. He could be on that list.
Interesting. When I think about this, might not be a great player comp. Omar Vizquel type of player.
Maybe a little more power in there. I mean, I think they would love to have that defense.
Right, yeah.
Because Omar Vizquel is, kind of an all-timer when it came to defense. But, a guy that's you think of for his defense first, but, he brings something to the table offensively. I'm trying to think of a good comp for that. Because, I'm trying to think of one offhand. To me, it's almost like...
he's not the biggest guy either.
No, he's not. It's almost, to me, what I kind of hope Luis Urias would have been. Where I think Ortiz is better defensively than Urias is, but Urias maybe had a little more power because he had a couple, I think, 20 homer seasons. So, and I'm not sure if Ortiz quite gets there, but someone like that where it's valuable, especially up the middle.
Right. Yeah.
Next category: who's going to lead the team in home runs?
I'm gonna go. Reese.
I went with Contreras.
Okay.
I mean, that's a safe bet. I mean, Hoskins could have more. It's one of those things where Hoskins could have more home runs, but obviously Contreras could have just a better overall line.
Oh yeah, I feel like that's going to be the case where Contreras better OPS or batting average, and Reese might be. I just hope for a 240.
Right, because he was 210-ish. If you even if you bump that up to 230, you take your walks. You get a 320 on base with some pop in there. That's. Especially because he obviously was cleaning up opening day. They're gonna give him every opportunity to be a guy in the middle of the lineup. So,
Yep,
gotcha. Steals, who leads?
Turang.
I say that, but that one's. And because I remember I looked last year, I think I said Frelick, but it's when you just watching Turang, because last year it wasn't even close. This team ran a lot, but he was by far the most. Gotcha. Who makes the All-Star team?
Well, my bold, I had Jackson on there, so I got to go with him. Contreras. I'm gonna go 2. Those 2.
Those are the same 2 I went with.
Okay.
Yeah.
I Yelich would be my third if I had to pick one, because if he has a similar start to he did last year, then yes.
If I went another one, I thought maybe McGill. If he has a good, if he just continues what he did last year, now that he's in the closer's role, there's always that, if you're a middle reliever or a 7th or 8th inning guy, to make the All-Star team, you have to be a step above a closer, just because there's still a lot of value for that placed on closers. But if Trevor McGill just continues what he's done, I could see that happening. Last year the idea was we assume Freddie Peralta pitches the most innings. So assuming that's the case again this year, who has the second most innings pitched on the staff?
Well, I would have said Tobias if he wasn't hurt, but I'm going to go Nestor Cortez.
I went Nestor Cortez too.
Yeah.
He's just. That's kind of what he's brought in for. I might have been tempted to say Quintana if he wouldn't have started the season still ramping up, just because he's kind of that rubber arm.
Yep.
But I'm going to say Nestor Cortez is that guy that gives you 160, 170, somewhere in there, and you feel good about it.
Yep.
And I don't have any of these down, but we had a couple prop bets last year, because I remember we had the batting average for Churio and stuff like that. Over a couple over unders. I'm trying to think offhand, but I got one. Yelich, over under 20.5 home runs.
I'm going to go over.
I'm going to go under, but very close. I'm going to say 19.
I had 25.
Okay, I'm going to say 19 or 20, maybe 20.
Yeah, I'm going to go about 25.
But with a healthy average on base, combo.
Gold Glove winners. We had 2 last year and a platinum. Over under 1.5.
I would say under, because getting 2 the same year is tough. But I'll say there's 1. I think Turang maybe again, because it's one of those things once you get 1,
And then you're the platinum winner too.
Yeah, you're automatically on the radar. You automatically get the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I would say Terang has the better name than Sal Frelick.
Yes,
that won it last year.
Yeah,
if that's fair to say.
Yeah. I got one actually for you, and I got to make sure I jot these down. Over under 4.5 saves combined for Jacob Misiorowski and Craig Yoho.
That is a fantastic one. I'm going to say over.
I think a lot of this probably comes because obviously we know you can kind of vulture one here or there if you know, but a lot of this I think comes down to how if McGill is good, there just won't be as many opportunities.
That's true.
That's kind of the question.
But there's 161 more games. Can we get 5 saves? Between
exactly between Misiorowski and
I'm
Yoho.
going to switch. I'm going to go under. But that's a really good one.
I'm going to go over.
God,
I'm going to go over.
That is a really good one.
That was just one. Yeah, just popped in my head because I'm like those guys. Especially Yoho. I think Misiorowski they're going to still give him that shot to start down in the minors.
Mm-hmm. How about can I add to that?
Yeah, go
more
ahead.
appearances, Yoho or Misiorowski this year?
I'm going to say Yoho.
I do too.
I think I could see him up by May. Like if he comes out strong.
Because, Misiorowski I could see, and you would know better than me, they'd kind of, with a lot of their pitchers that they've gone over, where he might be coming out of the pen initially, but they still view him as a starter. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. Ideally, they want him to be a starter. Mm-hmm. Like all perfect world, he's a starter. But it's a matter of can that happen?
Mm-hmm. Because we've seen that with Jimmy Nelson. We've seen Corbin, I think, even Brandon Woodruff.
Freddie Peralta. I know he made that first start, but in 2008 he pitched out and he pitched out the bullpen.
Yeah, well, remember
in the postseason.
His All-Star year, we were like, oh, is he going to make it as a fifth starter or come out of the bullpen? And then, he was fantastic that year. So Adrian Hauser was the same way too, right?
Yeah, they're it's kind of one of those things where it seems like they're like, okay, we just want to make sure you're in the big leagues first of all, and then we'll kind of see which direction it goes for you.
Mm-hmm. Right. You got any more? I like these ones. These are good ones.
I'm trying to think of a...
So, okay, I'll do this. It's kind of a buy or sell. Does Jackson get to 30-30?
No.
I'm going to say no, too.
I think he's in the ballpark. Mm-hmm. I've got one for you. And this... I don't know if I can calibrate the right number for it, but over or under 100 at-bats for Tyler Black.
Oh. I'm going to go under.
I think I might too. Like it's just I don't know what it is. Like it just does not seem, and granted like his limited appearances haven't been great, but I'm still a believer like for a young guy like that, you just have to give him a month or two. Mm-hmm. So, like, basically, I think the route where that's over is that Jake Bauers really, really struggles. Mm-hmm. And Black, playing every day at AAA, shows, like, defensively the chops to play first. Mm-hmm. He gets that chance. He's a guy that, honestly, I think if this team is in the race come July, I think he might get dealt.
Yeah.
Just because,
So, I'll piggyback off that. Does Durbin get more plate appearances or games than Tyler Black?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think ultimately he finds his way up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Well, do you want to do regular season picks? I've got mine. Okay, so let's start off with the American League, okay?
Yep.
I know I did mine yesterday, but we'll revisit it here because you're smarter than me when it comes to baseball stuff. So, American League Central.
AL Central, I went with Cleveland. I know it's kind of a 4-team race. A lot of people are on the Tigers, and I don't blame you.
Yep.
But to me, Cleveland is a bit like the Brewers, where it's like, you know what, until they don't do it, I'm going to believe that they can. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go Cleveland.
I went with the Tigers. So I just like their pitching.
Yes.
I like their pitching a lot. American League East.
I went with the Red Sox.
I did too.
Yeah. Like what they've done in the offseason. The Yankees' injury for Garrett Cole kind of brings them, takes them down a notch. I think that's going to be very competitive, but give me the Red Sox.
Yep. I went with the Red Sox too. AL West.
I went Houston. Some changes there, obviously, but I still think that's a good team.
I went with the every other Bruce Bochy Texas Rangers with the
odd year Bruce.
Yep. So I got Rangers coming out of there. The 3 wildcard teams.
I went Yankees, Orioles, Mariners.
Ooh, okay. I went Yankees, Twins, Blue Jays. So let's do National League. I'll wait for the Central for the last one. National League East.
I went with the Braves. I feel like I pick the Braves every year, but getting some guys, some back from injury. Spencer Strider seems like he might be a little bit further along than they thought coming back from injury. I'm gonna go with the Braves to win what should be a battle royale of 3 teams between the Braves, the Phillies, and the Mets.
I went with the Phillies, but I agree with you. I think it's between those 3, and they're going to beat up each other a little bit. The West, do I have to ask?
As much as I would want to go somewhere, another direction, yeah, I got to go Dodgers.
Yeah, Dodgers too. Central.
I want Brewers. I'm going to say the Brewers by like a game, maybe 2 over the Cubs. I think it's not, I mean, last year it was, 10 games?
Yeah.
It's not that.
I agree. I went Brewers, but I think it's between them. And I think the National peeps are sleeping a little bit on the Reds. I think they'll be a little bit better.
I was a year early on them, but I've said this already on here. I love that Terry Francona hire for them. A good veteran guy for a young team. You know, they got to hope their bullpen holds a little bit better than yesterday.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think Ellie De La Cruz takes a jump this year too. So, your wild card teams.
I went Phillies, Mets, Diamondbacks.
Pretty much the same, but flip-flop the East. I had Braves, Diamondbacks, Mets.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel like for the NL Central, you have to win your division to get to the playoffs.
It's going to be, I think, a little tough for them to get multiples.
How about MVP for the American League?
Ooh. I didn't pick this, but I will. Thinking off the top of my head, I'm going to go Yordan Alvarez for the Astros.
I went Bobby Witt Jr. National League MVP.
I mean, I'm going to go Shohei. That's not too sexy.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah. I tried to not do repeats, so I went with Soto. Just for the Mets, even though, yeah. But, and then your World Series prediction.
I went Dodgers over Astros.
Okay. I went Dodgers over Red Sox.
Boy, 2 years in a row. Fox would have to love that. Last year, Yankees, Dodgers. This year, Dodgers, Red Sox.
Yeah. No. But I'm hoping for, obviously, Brewers and a really crappy AL team that they have a shot. Be Brewer. No, I shouldn't say crappy, but it would be cool. I want Blue Jays, Brewers.
There we go. The Paul
Molitor series,
well,
yep.
I want Cleveland Brewers. Because then at least someone. Well, I mean, I guess it would be the same with Toronto. But then someone that hasn't got one in a while can get one.
Yeah. All right. Should we call it?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Let's play a little this or that. Okay, little this or that, baseball edition. Brandon, I'm going to give you obviously 2 things, and you got to pick one. All right, that's this or that. Brat or a hot dog at a baseball game?
Brat.
I'm going brat too. The sound of a catch with the ball hitting the leather of the glove, or the sound of the ball hitting off the bats?
I'm gonna say bat.
The pop.
Yeah, like when I'm listening to games on the radio, like you can when you hear the right swing, you can tell it's gone. Like you don't even have to see it; you just hear the sound.
I love it. Like if you're watching a game on TV and you can hear like that crack.
And we know certain people, like Ohtani is one of those. Like he has the ball. You always hear the saying, the ball just sounds different coming off his bat. Like he's one of them, but like there's just certain people like.
Yeah. I do love a good crack of the, when that ball just hits the glove in that perfect spot and that leather. But I'd probably have to go with the bat too. That. I will say though, one of the best smells is the leather glove.
Like,
put it up to your face and just smell the cowhide leather.
Maybe have it a little bit treated in there.
Yeah. When you're at a game, tap beer or a can?
Ooh. Because at first I thought the first one I thought was going to be broader beer. Okay.
I thought about that, but I'm like, that's not fair. You got to have both.
I'm going to say can only because maybe it's a little bit easier to stop spilling. Like especially like if you're getting one from a vendor or something, or you're just trying to go back, like you just don't want to spill anything. So I'm just going to say for mobility's sake, I'm going can.
I'm going to go can too. But just,
On principle, I do prefer draft when I can get it.
Unless there's a really cool cup. If there's a really cool cup with that tap, like a Sports Talk cup that if you were at VFW last week, you might have gotten. But, yeah, if it's a really cool cup, then that changes things a bit.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah.
Like a collector's one. Or like the one I used to have, and I think my wife got rid of it, but it was from the Brewers Game 5 win against the Diamondbacks, and it still had confetti stuck on the bottom.
Yeah. For the sake of mobility, I will go with the can.
Assuming everything's the same, weather's the same, dome or open?
Assuming the weather's the same, I'll go open. I mean, But I mean, one of the many things I love about American Family Field is, if people from around here are going 4 hours to a game, you know what's going on.
Yep.
But all things being equal, I will say open.
I agree. I'm going to agree with that. I know your favorite baseball movie, so it's purposely not in this to avoid it. Field of Dreams or Sandlot?
I'm going to go Sandlot.
I love both.
Yeah.
Sandlot, though, has a special place in my heart, so I have to go Sandlot.
As a gigantic dog.
There is a T-shirt, Baseballism, if you heard that, and I just saw it at Shields. But it's the face of Hercules, the dog, holding onto a baseball, and I kind of want it. But robbing a home run or a diving infield catch?
Robbing a home run.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't do either, but I would say robbing a home run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would too. Hitting a home run off of Paul Skeens or a top pitcher, whoever, or striking out Ohtani.
Striking out Ohtani.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. I think I want to hit the home run.
I think that one's rarer.
Mm-hmm. How about this to kind of go on top of that? Would you rather be a hitter in a 3-2 count, bases loaded, bottom of the ninth, down 1, or the pitcher in that situation?
I think pitcher. I don't know. I've just always gravitated more towards pitchers than hitters, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think I would want to be the pitcher in that spot.
I think I would too. Because I think at that spot, I mean, you're probably just throwing something across the plate, right? You're probably not trying to, unless it's like, maybe it is Ohtani up there or something like that. But, I mean, yeah, I think I'd probably rather be the pitcher over there too. Both are like completely nerve-wracking. Like I could not imagine.
It's like 10 seconds of, a wide variety of outcomes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just. So when you go to a game, you got the mini helmet. Would you rather this or that? Ice cream or nachos?
Nachos.
Did you know where I was going with that?
I did. You were kind of gesturing like the size of the mini helmet. I go, I know where he's going. Assuming I know where he's going. Especially at American Family Field, I love the Cactus League nachos.
Mm-hmm.
Was turned on to those in college by a friend of mine, and yes, they are very, very good. Especially if maybe you've had a cold drink or two.
Mm-hmm. For whatever reason, probably a few beverages. I dumped one over my head at American Family Field once.
Nachos?
After I ate it, but there was cheese left. Don't know why. Faber, remember from softball days?
Yeah.
I think he egged me on.
You deserve it.
I think he egged me on, and I couldn't get that cheese stain out of my brewer hat.
I can see why.
Yeah, that was a little rough. So, third baseline, first baseline. When you're watching a game,
I'm gonna say third or first baseline.
Mm-hmm. Because it's usually the home team dugout too, right? At least American Family Field.
American Family Field is. Yeah, I'm gonna say first baseline.
I think so too. I'm gonna go first baseline.
Plus, I know in American Family Field, I believe that's out of the sun.
Yeah.
So that helps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm probably going first base too. I mean, it's just.
Plus, I think so much more of the action is coming at you because so much of it goes towards first base that I'm going to say first.
Yeah, I'd agree. Wooden bat or metal bat? Do you like the ting or the crack?
I'm going to say crack. I'm going to say wood bat. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm going wood bat too. It's too classic, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's So, all right, that's what I got for this or that.
Yeah,
a little baseball theme. I know baseball is like your favorite, and I was talking a little bit about it yesterday. Like, obviously, my favorite. Big surprise, mine's Green. Packers are my favorite team. But there's something about opening day, and just baseball in general. It's different. The nostalgia and all that, and like. Part of me, I think what it is like, I don't know if it was the same for you, but when you're a kid, the first organized sport you play is baseball, like maybe t-ball, if you started that young, or little league or whatever. And it's just, there's a different vibe and a different feel where it's just, I don't know, it's more nostalgia. And I don't know if you would agree with this, but like when you look at the major sports, to quote kind of James Earl Jones in Field of Dreams, the one constant through time has always been baseball. Like, there's been alterations and changes, but I don't think as dramatic as like NFL or NBA in that, right? I mean, the essence is still there.
Right. Like, the game is a little different, but
pitch clock or
right, but
that
still,
stuff,
it's not like, you can even look at a football game from 20 years ago and look at it now, and it's very different.
Yeah.
Same with basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Baseball, yes, but also not at nearly as much, I would say.
Right.
So, yeah, I would agree with that.
And it just, summers playing in the backyard or going to a ball field and hoping that nobody was there so you could, it's just, there's a little bit more of a nostalgia feel with baseball, I feel like.
The thing for me with always baseball, too, is it's an everyday sport.
Yeah.
Like, it's every day, it's in your face. Like, it's just not like, it's not once a week, it's not 2 or 3 times a week. Like, every day, like, you're just hit with it over and over and over. And
would you say it's more of a kid's game than any other sport? And when I say that is because
it's tough for me to say because like I'm not a kid anymore and I'm not around kids. Like you might have a better,
because like Hudson is so much by the season. But if I had what I think is his favorite is baseball.
Okay.
But I guess I was coming in from the approach to like, and I did this for basketball in a sense. But like when we're kids, we emulated swings. Right? If you probably tried to do the righty version of Griffey. Yeah, I wasn't a lefty or that. But you emulated those. I remember playing with a buddy of mine, big oak tree in his yard. That was the home plate backstop. The corner of the house was first. The pole to the garden was second. Another tree was third. We draft teams and write them in a notebook. And if they were lefty, you had to hit lefty. That sort of stuff. Whereas, baseball swings you're trying to emulate. You're not necessarily emulating a quarterback's throwing motion.
Now you might maybe Patrick Mahomes, but
right in basketball, yeah, you're doing a Jordan with the tongue or the fadeaway or a Kobe or something like that. But that, I guess, that's where I was kind of getting at with like the kid aspect.
Yeah, I can see that.
You're trying to like the batting stances and all that mostly because we all tried doing. You and I are the same age. I think everybody tried doing Gary Sheffield just for fun with the bat waggle back and forth and that. So, but yeah, it's just more of a nostalgia feel for me.
Craig Counsell before he left the game of baseball.